back to Travels with Alicia. In this episode, I'll share with you all the things my family did on a recent trip to Williamsburg, Virginia. This was another one of our large, multi-generational vacations. We went to Williamsburg, Virginia for 3 nights and 4 days, starting on Thanksgiving Day. We were looking for somewhere that was about 5 hours driving from the Philadelphia area and a place that had enough to keep everyone busy. So we originally looked at some mountain retreats in New York City or above New York City, but then my nephew suggested we go to the Kingsmill Resort in Williamsburg. By going south, we kind of thought maybe we would get warmer weather, and I know he was looking forward to playing golf with his uncles and cousins. So the ironic thing is, the last time I was in Williamsburg was actually for his birthday, when he was very, very young, and now he's in his 30s. So the Kingsmill Resort turned out to be a great choice. We had some learnings from our last large family trip, which was to St. Lucia, and choosing a resort actually worked better for our family than 2 large houses. Everyone had equal rooms, their own bathrooms, and plenty of privacy. This resort had hotel rooms and condos spread over 2,900 acres along the James River. It's part of a residential community as well, and that if you live there, you can access the resort facilities. They had golf courses, tennis courts, pools, bikes, kayaks, paddle boards, plenty of restaurants, and a spa. This resort also had group coordinators that would help you if you were trying to plan events. So we rented a room and audio equipment for a special night. 2024 marks the year of my parents' 60th anniversary. And so my son Dimitri had interviewed my parents and created an amazing documentary. It included their life story, told through interviews, old home videos, pictures, and songs. So it was so amazing. He is now offering this product through his company, Creating Creatives, and it's called Time Capsule Interviews. Yes, this is a plug, but oh my God, I wish every family could have this as a keepsake. It was really amazing. So let's jump into the destination. Williamsburg is a living history museum. This is a kind of a fun fact, but Colonial Williamsburg is actually a non-profit educational institution, and it's the largest living history museum in the whole world. There's 3 areas of historical significance that you can visit. It's best to start with Jamestown, and this dates all the way back to like 1607 to 1620, and this is where the first English settlement was in the United States. And I know if you went to school in the U.S., we all learned about this, but my family actually couldn't remember hardly any of this history, and we knew very little. So when you go to Jamestown, there's 2 things you can do. The first is the Jamestown Settlement, and this is actually a recreated village. It has not only the villages, but the immersive galleries, and they have life-size replicas of the 3 original ships that brought the first settlers to Virginia. You could spend a couple hours there, but it's about a 3/4 of a mile to walk through it all. And one thing I'm going to say is do not skip the movie, because that's something my family would do. We would skip the movie. We would walk through the place. But the movie is 20 to 30 minutes, and it tells you so much, and it was done so well. What we learned, and I'm not going to tell you everything, but a few important things we learned was that this was called the Virginia Project. And this was in England. It was a business deal. People invested in the Virginia Project to create this new settlement in America. And they thought that they were going to make a lot of money by investing in the Virginia Project. And it's very interesting because now the state is was named Virginia. Also, women had to be enticed to move here. They were actually giving up a lot to come to this new land. And so women were actually given land and food and furniture and things to entice them to come over here, because the first group was just men. So we visited the day after Thanksgiving, and that is an amazing time to visit the Jamestown Settlement because they were having a food feast in celebration of Thanksgiving. And everywhere you went, there were outdoor fires, and they were reenacting cooking interesting food, but they also had stuff that was very of the period. They were like grilling crocodile legs and iguanas and things like that. So I couldn't have picked a better day to go there. There is a cost. It's about $20 to $30 a person to get in. So the other area in Jamestown is called Historic Jamestown, and this is the real original site of the first permanent English settlement. So this is owned by Park Services, and you can walk in the footsteps of Pocahontas and John Smith. There's archaeological digs, and there's exhibits and galleries, and it does cost as well. I don't think it's as expensive, but both of them do cost to go into them. So next, I would go to colonial Williamsburg. And as we talked, this is huge. I mean, this is basically a city. I mean, a small town. There's no cost to walk around, but some of the buildings and museums will have a fee to enter it. And this area really is depicting and recreating life in the 18th century. Williamsburg was known as the first town in the USA. And this is so because it was actually a planned community. There was a blueprint before Williamsburg was even built. There are over 500 restored or reconstructed buildings from the 18th century. And so you can go into them. Some of them are actually private homes, but you can go into the taverns, the shops, the government buildings, and really experience what colonial life was like. One thing you'll see, and this is what Williamsburg is famous for, you'll see lots of blacksmiths and silversmiths, and they're actually still doing those trades, so you can go in and see how they do it and what they're making. And when you walk around Williamsburg, you will see historical interpreters. They'll be dressed in period clothing, roaming around the streets, and they love to engage with visitors, and they provide information about what the politics were, daily life, and what it was like back in the times. So that's a lot of fun. So colonial Williamsburg also has restaurants and taverns, and you can dine and experience what it was like back in the 18th century. A few notable ones are like the Christiana Campbell's Tavern, King's Arm Tavern, and Shields Tavern. So these places, one, have very good food. They are generally very pricey, but when I say pricey, I mean you'll probably pay $20 to $50 and up a meal. Like if you're getting steak, it could be $70, $80 a person. But you're going to get this set in the kind of like a tavern that looks like it's from the 18th century. You may even have the staff dressed in historic clothing. So they will probably have a few dishes on the menu that were inspired from that time. So that's kind of fun. You can stay in colonial Williamsburg. There's two places that I can note. One's the Williamsburg Inn, and it's more luxurious. And then there's the Williamsburg Lodge. So, as I said, we did not stay in any of these. We stayed at the Kingsmill Resort. This was less than 10 minutes from everything. So it was a great choice for our family because there was just so much else to do there. There's also an area called Merchant Square. And this is an area where there's shops, and we kind of hit the jackpot on timing because Christmas was in full force. The ice skating rink was set up, and they have horse and carriage rides. But at this time of the year, they were decorated for Christmas. So it was very magical, and you could really feel the holiday spirit to go on like horse and carriage rides at this time. If I mention just like one more kind of important thing to do in the Williamsburg area is to visit the William and Mary College. This was founded in 1693, and it's the second oldest higher institution of education in the U.S. Harvard is number one, and that was about 50 years earlier. But this is actually the first public university, and 4 former presidents have attended or gotten certificates from this school. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Monroe, and John Tyler. So definitely visit it. Walk around. There is so much history on this campus. And it's also believed to be haunted, as is much of Williamsburg. So if you're really into that, you'll be able to find lots of information and tours in Williamsburg, both historical tours and ghost tours. So it's a lot of fun. So lastly, the last of the 3 historic sites is Yorktown. And this is the site in 1781 where the British surrendered their army of about 8,000 men to General George Washington. And they basically gave up any chance of winning the Revolutionary War. This was the final major battle, and you can visit the battlefield and the monument. There's also a really nice riverfront there with shops and restaurants, and since it's on the water, there's boating, fishing, and kayaking. So Yorktown is a good place, and you definitely should visit that as well. Williamsburg, to me, is a great idea for a family vacation, and it's good year-round. It's a good place to go. It's very family-friendly, and I could even see it being a good destination for a family reunion. We did not have any small children on this trip, but it's pretty easy to do all these sites with a stroller, and I mean, it was very accessible. My mom had a cane, and she was easily able to get around all these sites with no trouble, and it's a pretty good place for everyone. There's things to do in Williamsburg other than just historical sites. So one of the big draws is Busch Gardens, and this is an amusement park and a theme park. Our young adults all went there and got to see some holiday decorations. So in addition to the rides, Busch Gardens is known for their beautiful landscaping and gardens and lots of shows. So again, a good place for the whole family to go if you're in Williamsburg. There's also the Williamsburg Winery, and there's several breweries. There's shopping. They have outlets, craft places, antiques. I would say it's not good for like any kind of high-end shopping or trendy shopping, but if you just want to hit the outlets or look around craft boutiques and stuff like that, it's fun. Another thing that was interesting, and I did not know about Williamsburg, it's quite the foodie scene. So in addition to eating in our resort, we did go several times out to restaurants. And one of the things we did was actually for Thanksgiving, we went out and left the resort. They were doing a buffet at the resort, but it was an early buffet, and we were all arriving that day, and we didn't think we were going to get to make it. So we went to Craft 31, and this is part of like a high-end restaurant group. And so they have several restaurants, but they had, on Thanksgiving, they had their full regular menu and a Thanksgiving menu. So you could do either. And believe it or not, I ended up getting turkey, which totally surprised me. But they had oyster stuffing, and it was amazing, and everyone really had a good time. And we were glad that we left the resort and went there. So that was Craft 31. I'll just call out one other place. We also went to the Amber Ox, and that was more artisanal, like they had crafted cocktails and food. It was a small menu, but definitely high quality. And everyone really liked it. I think the smoked wings were one for the flavor. Everyone really loved the smoked winged appetizer. This was a really special vacation for my family. It ticked all the boxes. Everyone was able to drive, which was easier than coordinating flights on a holiday weekend. We had smaller groups kind of get together and go off. So maybe a group would be going golfing. Some people were shopping. Other people went to the spa. And then we would gather for large meals and then the special anniversary event. Thanksgiving is a perfect time to visit Williamsburg. The weather is moderate, normally around the mid-60s, and you get to celebrate both Thanksgiving and the beginning of the Christmas season. So stay tuned later in 2024 when the children, which is my generation, plan another big family trip to Baltimore to celebrate my parents' actual anniversary. I really appreciate you listening to this episode of Travels with Alicia, and I hope that you got a sense of what Williamsburg is like and you get to visit soon. I'd like to end this episode with a song that my son re-recorded for my parents' anniversary, and it's a family favorite. So enjoy it and stay tuned for the next episode of Travels with Alicia.
Every night I hope and pray a dream lover will come my way, a girl to hold in my arms and know the magic of her charms, because I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone. Dream lover, where are you? With a love oh so true, and the hand that I can hold to feel you near as I grow old, because I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone. Someday, I don't know how, I hope she'll hear my plea. Some way, I don't know how, she'll bring her love to me. Dream lover, until then, I'll go to sleep and dream again. That's the only thing to do till all my lovers' dreams come true, because I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone. Please don't make me dream alone.